How does this make any sense?
Of course it doesn't make sense. David Dorn's murder had nothing to do with the Black Lives Matter movement.
This video is brought to you by The Officer Tatum Store. The Officer Tatum Store. Get the merch link in the description section. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell so you get notifications anytime I go live or make a video. Like this video, comment on this video, share this video, and let's get into this. I got a question for you protesters out there.
Okay, what's your question? I didn't protest, but I support it, so.
I got a question for you SJWs out there.
SJW is a label that conservatives like to use to shame people who want social justice.
For all you people that put in that little black box on your Instagram, I got a question for you.
Okay, this question is definitely for me because I shared the black box on Instagram, Facebook, everything.
What have you accomplished?
They got his attention. They got a lot of people's attention, so we're having conversations. That's an accomplishment.
What has been accomplished by your virtue signaling?
Some people are just doing it for likes and attention, but most people actually care about this issue. So it's unfair to act like it's all virtue signaling.
What has been accomplished by all of your protesting and looting and vandalizing property?
Protesting is okay. Looting and vandalizing property is not. To lump them all in together is fucked up.
What have you accomplished? Somebody riddle me this.
I will admit these retorts are not in the form of a riddle, so I'm sorry.
How in the world, how on God's green earth are you protesting the death of one man?
Acting like these protests are about the death of one man is bullshit.
Which leads to you destroying the lives of multiple other black people.
Again, stop lumping in peaceful protesters with looters and vandals.
Multiple black businesses destroying the economic success of multiple cities all around the country. And you have fervor, you have energy, you have passion when the black man get killed by a white police officer.
Because we all know racist cops exist. And after watching that video, most of us are like, yeah, he wouldn't have treated a white guy like that.
Yet, when a brother kill a brother, you don't care.
Just because you protest police racism against black people doesn't mean you don't care about black people killing black people. This protest is about a completely different issue. Who's saying they don't care about black people killing each other?
When the police officer, former police officer, 77-year-old man, retired captain on the police department, done spent 38 years of his life protecting and serving, show up to a call for service, because you know when you a cop and when you've served people that long, it ain't just a job, it's in your spirit. Show up to protect the pawn shop, being a good Samaritan, a good citizen, a good man, a good father, a good grandfather, a good leader in the community. And you show up because you want a TV and you take that man's life and y'all video record him losing his life. Nobody renders aid. And the man who did this probably ain't never going to get caught because y'all won't even snitch.
There's video. I'd snitch on him if I knew who he was. I'm sure a lot of people would. But peaceful protesters have nothing to do with looting or vandalism, much less this murder.
What have you accomplished?
Covered that already. Has nothing to do with this murder.
What have you accomplished?
This guy repeats himself a lot. I guess that's how you get stupid people to agree with you.
I'm not understanding the logic behind the way people act today in America.
What a fucking generalization. What are you talking about again?
I'm sick of seeing black folks, and I'm white people, I'm going to get to you next. I'm sick of seeing black folks being so disingenuous, being dishonest about their affairs, that they have the whole world kissing their toenails for falsehoods.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Most black people that are honest. I'm not talking about black people that want to be down with the crew. You want to hang out. You want to still keep your black card. I'm talking about brothers that are honest. No, you don't have no negative interaction with police.
No matter what color you are, everyone's had a negative interaction with an asshole cop. Are you serious?
You may not like that you were stopped on the traffic stop because you know you were speeding, but you didn't think he caught you, but he caught you, and then you want to argue with him as if it didn't happen.
Who is he talking about? I thought he was talking to the honest black people.
Most black people do not have negative interactions with police officers.
Everyone has negative interactions with police officers now and again. Like, what the fuck?
44 million black people in the United States of America, and new 2019, 9 African Americans were shot who were unarmed.
Should be 0.
Everybody knows that just because you're unarmed don't mean you're not a threat.
If the cop has a gun and it's clear that person doesn't have a gun, they're not a threat.
But for the sake of argument, only 9 people have had a negative interaction with a police officer that led to their death out of 44 million black people in this country.
It should be 0.
Go to 2020, this year. There's been 3.
Still too many, and we've been on lockdown.
And Breonna Taylor is one of them. And she got caught up in a warrant in the crossfire for miscommunication with her boyfriend, who she didn't tell that she was knee deep in the drug game, and that they're either going to be the police or some thugs coming to take drugs out of the house. He ends up shooting a police officer, and she gets caught in the crossfire. She's added to the statistic. Outside of her, it's been 2.
Yeah, and it's also been quarantine. Doesn't mean police are less racist now.
Out of 44 million black people in the United States of America, there's been 2 that have been shot unarmed. And the other 2 people were doing something they had no business doing.
What they're doing has nothing to do with whether or not they deserve to be executed by police.
And I'm not saying it's justified or not. I don't know.
Then why did you just bring it up?
They didn't get charged, so I'm assuming that the justice system determined that it was justified, like all the other justified shootings. But y'all haven't accomplished nothing. You're ruining the reputation of your own people. People looking at TV, watching black people beat the snot out of people, rob businesses, kill other black people with no mercy, pulling guns on black women in parking lots because you're so desperate and deranged and animalistic.
He's just lumping the peaceful protesters in with the criminals again.
And let me get to you white people. White people, I need you to hear me real clearly. You better stop with all of that BS virtue signaling.
What if I were to tell you that there are actually white people that care about black people and consider them equal?
You saying you have white privilege don't somehow make me feel any better about how racist you are.
I didn't know I'd have to say this to a conservative talking head, but not all white people are racist. That's his fucking point about the police.
The fact that you believe in white privilege shows me that you are cognitively dissonant from reality.
This guy needs to read a history book.
You are telling black people, when you say you have white privilege or acknowledging your white privilege or that you have it better in life, that you're better than black people.
White people identifying that they have an advantage because they're white doesn't mean they think they're better than black people.
That you're going to go further in life than black people.
Not necessarily, it just means they know they have an advantage.
And that black people need you.
This is total bullshit. It has nothing to do with identifying that you have an advantage.
To somehow acknowledge and give them a handout so they can have a decent life.
If he's trying to talk about higher taxes to help poor black communities, it's not a handout. It's trying to fix years of systemic racism.
You're not operating with common sense. And all this virtue signaling is not doing nothing but perpetuating, inflaming, and fanning the fire. Y'all fanning the fire. Y'all getting on y'all knees on the sidewalk to confess your white privilege. And if none of y'all was racist and none of y'all owned slaves and none of y'all was alive during Jim Crow, then what are you doing?
Just because you weren't alive during slavery or Jim Crow doesn't mean you don't benefit, and I'll say it again, from systemic racism.
What are you actually accomplishing? Y'all out here protesting in solidarity, putting black little screens on your Instagram account to show solidarity with who?
Solidarity with black people. You should try it.
Some of y'all don't even know who George Floyd was. A man that has been in and out of prison. A man that does not care and have total disregard for the life of other people. I.e. when he was arrested for pulling a gun on a pregnant woman during a home invasion. And then he's found outside of the state where he lived at, where his wife and his kid, or at least his girl and his kid, live in Houston, Texas. He's in Minnesota on methamphetamines, resisting arrest from the police officers, trying to spy stuff with counterfeit money.
None of these facts change that he shouldn't have been murdered.
And y'all out here giving life and limb to support somebody you don't even know.
It's about systemic racism. It's not about one person.
To support this idea of oppression in the community that is unsubstantiated.
Read a fucking book, guy.
I've been black my whole life. Grew up in an all-black community. We not oppressed.
If you weren't oppressed, maybe you'd have an education that would help you realize how black people are fucking oppressed.
We're not oppressed. We oppress ourselves through cultural dynamics that we refuse to identify.
That's part of it, but that doesn't mean that white people haven't oppressed black people. Like, what?
It ain't the white man. It ain't the system. The system will make you rich if you do the right things.
Like selling out your people and becoming a conservative YouTuber?
How do you think Jay-Z? How do you think P. Diddy? How do you think Michael Jordan? How do you think LeBron James? How do you think Madam C.J. Walker in the early 1900s, the first female millionaire to ever exist out of any race?
Just because some black people became basketball players, rappers, millionaires has nothing to do with the ability of regular people to send their kids to good public schools.
How do you think that Ben Carson got to where he's at? One of the greatest men to ever live. Ben Carson has done things that nobody has done in the whole world. Came from a single parent home. Mama couldn't read.
Sounds like he was at a black disadvantage to me.
The system ain't against you. You are against you. People are brainwashing you to be against you. They're brainwashing you to be against them. So then they appear to be against you.
I don't know what the fuck he's talking about here. I don't.
Wake up, people. I make these videos. I go to war with y'all, for y'all, so that people can wake up like I did.
This guy really throws going to war around for a conservative.
I was a victim of that mentality. Oh, the white man this, the police this, and then I grew up and I grew out. I grew up and I got saved. God changed my heart and I can see things clearly.
Oh, so this has been a God thing the whole time. Okay, white Jesus cured you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're not wrestling against flesh and blood. We're not wrestling against racism in this country. We're wrestling against good and evil.
Acting like there isn't racism in this country is evil.
People that are good are good. People that are evil, they're going to find a reason to not like you and to do harm to you. Whether it's your race, your nationality, your city, your town, what ward you in. Come on, people. Come on, man. Let's put all this BS behind us. Let's put it all down. Let's stop with the madness. Let's stop with the hatred of the president.
Surprise, surprise. He wants you to vote for Trump because that'll end racism. Oh, wait, racism doesn't exist.
And go look in the mirror. And you talk to that man in the mirror, that woman in the mirror, and you ask them simple questions. What have I done to make my life better? What have I done to make others' lives better who live around me? What do I plan to do in the future to leave this planet better than it was when I got here?
These are questions we should all ask ourselves. It has nothing to do with the issue.
Ask yourself those questions in the mirror. And when you have an adequate answer to those questions and you put that into action, the world will be a better place.
No shit, has nothing to do with this.
If every person does that, everybody, no matter what you did, even if you're in a prison cell, look in your mirror in the prison cell and you ask yourself those questions.
Does this guy think they have YouTube in prison?
And when you have a solution to those questions and you have action behind those questions, the world will be a better place. And you don't need to worry about the government. You don't need to worry about systematic oppression. You need to worry about white privilege and all that other stuff that man put on top of your head to keep you down.
Did this conservative just say you don't have to worry about the government? You always have to worry about the government. You always have to worry about systemic oppression.
You ain't have to worry about all that stuff.
Don't worry about it so they can keep doing it.
You can be free and you can be prosperous.
Just like you said, you can become a rapper or a basketball player.
I'm done.
I'm done too. Let me know what you think in the comments.